Hi there, I'm Jana Eubank and I'm excited to be here with a scrapbook page using the February hip kits. Now our assignment this week is to scrap lift a fellow design team member, and I've chosen this beautiful layout by Anke Kramer. I loved the series of circles, I love that she added stitching to her design, and so let's see what we can come up with. Now, in addition to scrap lifting a fellow design team member, I was assigned to focus on one of the products in the February kits, and the products that I chose to work with are all of the fabulous dies. Because of Anke's circular design, I thought it'd be awesome to pull in the hoop and floral die as well as the string, wreath, and bow die, but you'll see in just a minute that I actually switch gears. Now, the first thing that I do though is I choose a background paper. I chose to go with the navy paper called A Stitch in Time. I loved the tonal stitched florals on this background, and because it already has a tonal background going on, I am not going to add any stenciling to this page. If you notice on Anke's original layout, she had added some awesome texture paste with a stencil, creating little tiny stars all over the background of her white cardstock. But I'm going to let the tonal pattern on the navy paper just speak to that and use that in place of the stenciling. Now, as I laid out the circular dies that I was talking about earlier, I decided that I was going to switch gears and go with hearts. I just thought that they would work better for what I was doing and would be a fun twist. I thought it would be a great way to show you that you can use a layout as a jumping off point, but actually take it in your own direction. Also, the nested hearts dies have all of these built-in lovely stitching details, and so although I loved that Anke added all of that awesome stitching, I was like, oh my gosh, that will take forever. So I opted to let the stitching on the dies do all the work, quote unquote, and I will just add a few stitching details with my sewing machine, and I will show you that in a bit. Right now I'm just using a series of pattern papers from the kit. I pulled out all of the white and blue and lilac patterns that I thought went well together. So the ones that I used the purple floral called Can't Get Enough. I used a small floral that has a large blue dot on the other side. That paper's called Hugs Are Free. I used the plaid paper that's called Oh So Pretty. And then I used two of the cardstock colors. I used the pink one called Petal and then the darker blue one called Wave, and I love the way that all these patterns look together. Now I am going to stitch these with my sewing machine, but before I take it over to my sewing machine, I snapped a quick picture of how I had everything laid out on the page, and also I used some liquid glue to just tack the hearts together lightly. That way if I bumped something on my way over to the sewing machine, they at least sort of were in place. So I did add a zigzag stitch down the center of the larger layered hearts, and then you'll see intermittently that I have the smallest heart, just a single heart, and on those small hearts I just did a straight stitch. I'm now ready to map my photos and continue on with the design. So I did decide to use a pattern paper to map my photos, and the one I used was the back side of the plaid paper. It had this beautiful black and white floral, and again that paper is called Oh So Pretty. So I went ahead and did that, but I also wanted to mat the entire layout. So here I'm just trimming down that navy cardstock on each of the edges, and I end up matting it on the Petal solid pink cardstock. I'm going to go ahead and gut out the center of that pink cardstock just so I can use that inner piece for another project later. And so I do that by using my trimmer. A blade trimmer is the best way to do this. And so you can just move your paper over a little bit and then use your blade in the center of your paper to cut out an opening. Because the majority of the cardstock is going to be covered, why waste that paper? So I like how this looks, and after I distress the edges, I take this over to my sewing machine and just add a straight stitch all along the outer edge of the layout. Now I'm ready to add in some die cuts. I first go to the cardstock die cuts that are in the main kit. I pulled out that purple tag thinking that I might add some journaling there. I also grabbed the Love This tab to add to the top of my photo, and then I'm going to I think I end up I was looking for some title options. I don't really find anything, but I do end up picking out a little black phrase to layer with that "Love This" tab later on. Next, I'm going to head on over to the embellishment kit and I find these labels. I switch out the purple tag for a purple label because I feel like that fits the bottom of my page a little bit better. And I also grab the same label in a lighter blue color or teal color to add to the bottom of my first photo, and that is where I'm going to anchor my title. Next, I grab the vellum die cuts because I always think it's fun to add in different textures on your page. So as I'm thumbing through the vellum die cuts, these ones are again from the embellishment kit. I find these beautiful medallion or doily type patterns. So I pull out all the ones that I can find in navy and purple and light blue. I also grab some leaf stems, and there's also these really cute little small starbursts that I plop here and there just to fill in the open spaces between the hearts. I was trying to find a spot for that light blue doily in the worst kind of way, but it just was too big, and so I will save that for another project. I'll come back in with my spatula and just lift the edges of these hearts a little bit so I can tuck in the leaf stems a little bit easier, as well as the doilies. So I really like how this looks, and we'll just keep on moving on. So also in the embellishment kit, there are these gorgeous chipboard flowers. And as you can see, I still have some open spaces left on this layout. So I'm going to grab those chipboard flowers and select all the tiny ones in blue and lilac and just use those to accent the open spaces in between the hearts. And also it will add an additional texture to this page, which is always good. I'm going to use that spatula to just lift up the middle layer of the layered heart on the bottom of the page, and then I will tuck in the left end of that journaling label just so it feels anchored to the page. So now that I have all these cute little bits in place, I'm going to use some liquid glue and just tack everything in place. The chipboard has some great adhesive on it, but because it's overlapping edges, I just want to make sure that it won't fall off over time, and so that is the reason for the liquid glue. Okay, so now back to the main kit. We're going to pull out our adorable puffy letter stickers. I love this coral color, and I'm going to add my title to the label that is over on the left photo. The photos of my daughter here are of her right before she went back to her her second year of college. In fact, the one on the left is right as she was leaving home, and then the one on the right is her taking a selfie on her first day of school. I love that I've trained my kids to take that first day of school selfie, and so I thought this would be cute to combine them together on this layout. We'll get those labels in place at the top of the second photo. And then I found this cute little bird in the main cardstock die cuts, and I thought he looked cute sitting on top of the title. So we'll just tuck his feet there behind the first two letters, and he just makes a cute addition to this page. If you're looking for a really cute day stamp, be sure to check out the January Pocket Life kit. It has 2 stamp sets included with that kit. It has a January stamp, and then there also is this date stamp, and I love it. It has an old typewriter type feel to it, has all the numbers of the month as well as several years. Now, it didn't have the year 2017 because we are past 2017, but I simply took the number 20 and the number 17 and combined them together to make the year. I'll just use a black pen now to add a few details, and then that will finish out the journaling for this page. I felt like my photos needed a little bit of anchoring, so I grabbed the branding strip from the lilac pattern paper. It has this cute dot grid pattern on it. I'm just going to cut a section of that. I'm trimming off the top of where I had some solid color there, and I'm just going to tuck that along the bottom edge of those two photos, helping them to feel connected but also anchored to the page. Okay, now this is the final step of this layout, and it kind of freaks me out. I'm going to add some white paint splatters. If you've noticed, I am not a mixed media queen like all the other people on the Hip Kit Club design team, but I will occasionally add in some stenciling and some splatters. So here I've just watered down some white acrylic paint, and I covered my photos with some packaging, and then I took that brave step of, tapping that paint onto your paper. It's always so scary for me because I don't have control, right? I like die cuts, I like stickers, I like letter stickers where I have a lot of control about where they fall. I'm glad I took this step. I love how the white paint turned out. I add a few more little splatters over the top of the hearts, just really lightly, just to make them feel all connected together. And I'm glad I was brave because the white splatters finished this layout perfectly. Okay, that finishes my layout today with the February 2023 Hip Kits featuring the beautiful nested hearts dies. Guys, this is a really fun design. I want to thank Anke for inspiring me, and I hope you learned that you can take a page as inspiration and then switch things up, whether it's a shape or the size of the photos, whatever it may be. Maybe it's the orientation of the page. So grab your February Hip Kit and join us this week by scraplifting one of the design team members, and then come show us what you made in the Hip Kit Club Facebook group. We'd love to see your creations. All right, until next time, I'm Jana Eubank. Happy scrapping, everybody!